Hey, this is Miles McQuillen sitting down with Portfolio Manager Brian Sponheimer to discuss the UAW strike ahead of our 47th Annual Automotive Symposium. Brian, considering you've covered the industry for over 20 years now, what does the UAW adding distribution facilities to the strike mean for finding a resolution?
Well, the UAW started with the 3 assembly plants, so they decided to initially target how cars were made. One plant for Stellantis, 1 plant for GM, and 1 plant for Ford. The addition of the 38 distribution facilities now impacts the consumer and their ability to get their cars serviced by, in this case, General Motors and Stellantis dealership groups. Ford was not added to the subsequent distribution facilities, so it also tells us that one, negotiations with Ford are going better than they are at the other 2 automakers, and 2, there may be a path to a labor agreement at one automaker that will serve as the framework for an agreement with the other 2.
And Brian, our conference is, seems to be kind of perfectly timed here this year. How long do you think this strike goes on for? And, do you see any type of resolution before our 47th annual, conference that's, at the end of October?
It's a really good question. So the UAW has a strike fund of about $800 million. What that means is that every week it will pay its workers $500 a week for every worker that's picketing. Right now, the 3 facilities that they originally targeted are about $6.5 million. By adding the 38 distribution facilities, it's about another 3,000 workers. It's going to be somewhere between another $1 million to $1.5 million a week. So you're talking about $8 million or so a week. They clearly don't want this to go on in perpetuity. It clearly can't. So you're talking about a 5-week window where before our conference, where something has the potential to get done. I think that Ford ratifying or getting close to ratification of a contract with Unifor, which is the UAW or the auto workers rather, labor representative in Canada. I think getting a deal done there could potentially create a framework for Ford to get a deal done, and then the other automakers. So I am more confident that something will get done in the next 6 weeks than I was perhaps before I was on Friday.
Got it. And lastly, Brian, what do you think the implications are if this strike perhaps continues to go on a little longer than, you had originally anticipated?
Yeah, so we're talking about supply constraints, right? There are going to be fewer new vehicles that are produced. What dealers will do is immediately adjust new vehicle prices higher. Right now, it's really only 3 facilities, but you are seeing some issues with some other plants. GM noted that a facility was unable to get particular materials that were made out of their Wentzville facility in Missouri. So as supply dries up, prices will rise. The consumer will have a choice then to whether to partake in purchasing a vehicle with a higher price or to go to the used vehicle market. Should used vehicle prices rise like they have for the past 3+ years, only to have seen them come down recently, we could see some strain in that marketplace. When you combine that with other issues like student debt payments having to come back online in the near future, can make for some interesting discussions in October at our conference.
Terrific. Well, Brian, thanks for taking the time to sit down with us today. Appreciate the insight on the industry.
Thank you.
We look forward to hearing more about these dynamics later in October at our 47th Annual Automotive Symposium.